I'm going to show you the DBQ for mental health disabilities. This will include things like depression, anxiety, insomnia, mixed mood orders, and everything in between that isn't PTSD or eating disorders. If you're looking for any DBQ, all you have to do is go to Google and you're going to want to type in VA DBQ. The very first link that pops up is from va.gov. You can see public DBQs right here. Let's go ahead and click this link. Scrolling down, you will find every single DBQ that the VA uses. In this video, we're focusing on mental health. So let's go down to psychological, and here you'll see mental disorders. And keep in mind, this is different from PTSD and eating disorders. So let's click on the mental disorders, and here we go. Now we're looking at the DBQ for mental health. Going through this DBQ by the numbers, this up here will be your first, last name, your social, and note on this first box, it tells you exactly who can fill out this DBQ. In the second note, it says the examiner must meet one of the following criteria: a board-certified, board-eligible psychiatrist, and on and on and on and on and on. Make sure if you get a DBQ by a private doctor that they fall in within these categories. This first box here is pretty self-explanatory. Are you a VA provider? Is the veteran seen regularly at your clinic? If this is your provider and your private doctor that you've seen multiple times, the answer to this would be yes. If you went outside to a third-party company to get a DBQ and a Nexus letter, this answer is probably going to be no. Was the veteran examined in person? Yes or no? Now this is extremely crucial. It is absolutely okay if this appointment was done via telehealth. Now for conditions like your lower back or your knees, an in-person DBQ is going to go a long way. Scrolling down to section 1, you're going to see this thing called an ICD code. This is nothing you need to concern yourself with, but it stands for International Classification of Diseases. So whatever diagnosis that you have, you'll see these written here along with the code and if any comments are needed. Part 2 of section 1 is a differentiation of symptoms, meaning if you have a TBI and you cannot distinguish the TBI symptoms from mental health symptoms, it's probably going to be roped under the same rating. This is why you'll see anxiety, depression, insomnia, bipolar, all roped under the same rating because they share the same symptoms. Part 3 of section 1 is extremely important, and you can almost correlate these boxes to the 38 CFR. So if we were to go to the 38 CFR right now, we're going to go type in mental health, 38 CFR, ECFR. You're going to want to click the ECFR link, and you'll find the general rating for mental disorders, which is right here. So at 100%, it says total and social impairment, total occupational and social impairment. Going to the DBQ, here at this box at the bottom, says total occupational and social impairment. The DBQ allows the VA to see your symptoms and how they are potentially going to rate those symptoms based on your service connection. Going through the DBQ for mental health, you're going to see a lot of questions relating to TBI. And this is again seeing if you're able to differentiate those symptoms from the other mental health symptoms. It is absolutely possible to get a rating for TBI and to get another rating for mental health, but you have to have concrete evidence of, hey, these symptoms are from TBI and these symptoms are from mental health. Moving on to section 2, clinical findings, and these two little boxes here are absolutely crucial. If for some reason the doctor you see does not tell the VA that your records were reviewed, all of a sudden the weight this Nexus, the weight this DBQ holds is going to be almost little to nothing. You have to make sure that whoever it is that you're seeing reviews your records to give their medical opinion. In this box here, they will just let you know what medical records they saw, whether it was your VA medical records, service treatment records, private health records, etc. Part 2 of section 2 is the history, and you're going to see these 3 categories throughout, It's going to be pre-military, military, and post-military. The bottom line up front about pre-military, military, and post-military is that when the veteran is questioned by the C&P examiner, it's extremely important for the veteran to express their symptoms and how they were caused by their military service. Scrolling down to section 3, symptoms. Probably one of the most important aspects of the DBQ, but all of these boxes can be checked, and these symptoms are kind of a between the lines of the occupational and social impairment. You're letting the VA know, hey, here are the symptoms that I experience. Section 4 is behavioral observations. How were you conducting the meeting? Were you well dressed? What's your personal hygiene like? Did you make eye contact? How about your speech? Were you wandering off? Did you cry? Were you sad? What were your mannerisms? All of that is going to go into the behavioral observations. In section 5 is other symptoms that were not listed above. With mental health, there are billions and billions of mental health symptoms, and this is where the provider can include those. Section 6 is concerned with the veteran being able to make money or hold gainful employment or being homeless. If any of those are the case, the provider will include notes here. And section 7, hands down the most important, an in-service event, meaning medical records from service, a current diagnosis, which is also continuous and chronic, and a Nexus statement. Now, I've added at least as likely, more than likely, or due to. Obviously, if you have a less likely than not, you're not going to submit that DBQ with your claim. In section 8, the provider, the doctor, the examiner you saw will go ahead and fill in their information, and that's how you complete a DBQ.